You can begin.
Hi, my name is Maria. I am from the Three Affiliated Tribes for Personal Indian Reservation. And I will have my group members introduce themselves.
My name is Kiara Romero. I am a Assiniboine Sioux, and I'm from Fort Peck Reservation.
Zintkala Ziwi na Tea Howard Imachiapi, Iamoslaha, and Matama.
My name is Cassandra Kelly, and I am from the Stunning Ground Sioux Tribe.
I'm Kanisha Kiro. I'm from Spirit Lake Tribe. Today we will be talking about how technology apps can help preserve Native American Indigenous language. And I'll have Taya go ahead and start.
So the app I found was called Native Time, and it's owned and operated from more than one source. Historical entries provided by the exclaimed Cherokee author named Phil Constantine. It was developed by a member of the Navajo Nation and from the people. It's 100% Native American owned. It states from the people in various many different languages across lands such as the plains, the southwest, southeast, northeast, northwest, Central America, Alaska, Arctic, Pacific Islands, and etc. They allow you to go day by day learning about moon phases, dialects of language, and history. It is easily accessible and will let others learn more when invested or willing to take the time out of their day. It allows you to know more about thousands of historical events with indigenous background, and you're able to save and read later on if you choose as well. You're able to have more than one opportunity or source from learning through this app, as it goes with different dialects. In summary,
The app I found is to help the Cree, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota tribes to continue their language. And it also helps continue the living languages in our communities. It's a sign of respect for our elders and the speakers that have come before us. We will continue to speak our languages, celebrate our customs, and teach our future generations their traditional ways of life. And in my article that I found, the article features Native American teachers such as Lorraine Rader and Vernon Lambert. The Dakota speakers have both graduated from the Bureau of Indian Affairs DIA Community School in 1957 and 1959, where the Dakota language and culture were not taught to them. Vernon Lambert's mother had actually stopped speaking to him in Dakota language because she didn't want him to learn the English the hard way, whereas Lorraine successfully spoke both English and Dakota. In 2016, Lorraine and Vern became our tribe's first elders of the Spirit Lake Tribal Council to be certified masters and PhD level instructors at our local college, Chandeska Chimpina Community College. They both teach the Dakota values of humility, perseverance, generosity, faith, honesty, courage, and respect. In my tribe, we have only 6 remaining Dakota language speakers on the Spirit Lake Reservation, which they're all elders. And Vernon Lambert has passed away about a year or 2 ago. Our language is dying down and becoming lost because we teach our younger generations, but we do not have anybody above us or in our families to help us continue the language or to even speak back to us.
There are many apps to help preserve lost languages, but my focus is on my own native language, Lakota. Growing up, I remember being taught in school my native language. And as I got older, I noticed we didn't learn as much of it anymore. Boarding schools took our language from us, and it started to disappear. My grandma would speak Lakota amongst her friends, and I remember pretending to watch TV as a little girl, listening to them, even though I didn't understand. It was so beautiful and amazing speaking a language other than English. How I would love to speak Lakota fluently. My grandma is fluent in her Lakota language. The Lakota Language Consortium partnered up with the language controversy. I'm so sorry. and proudly created a Lakota language app called Owoksape, meaning a place of wisdom. You can reach the app online or through your phone's app store. Both organizations are nonprofit. TLC currently works with more than 25 different indigenous language communities throughout the U.S., Australia, and Canada. TLC plans on using the same technology to replicate the app in other indigenous languages. Our languages being written by non-native people when they need to have real Lakota speakers rather than people outside of our tribes. This app is free and has 3 levels. It is enjoyable. I am grateful to continue to learn more from it as well as from our elders. Do it to want to revitalize our Lakota language. When our language dies, so do we. Wobla.
There have been many new contributions to technology since it first started in the 1900s. Using the technology that is now available, people are now able to save everything and have records and videos of the language and people speaking the language. I know that there have been new types of technology where it allows you to record people speaking and telling their stories. And I feel like that would be a really cool thing for our tribe to do, to record our elders, ask them their stories and what has happened. I know like on my reservation, everyone used to live in Elbow Woods, and when the Garrison Dam was built, Elbow Woods was flooded. And there's not very many elders who can still talk about Elbow Woods and tell us things like that and what it was like. And I kind of didn't realize that until when I was in high school. We had to do a project where we had to talk about it and talk to someone and ask about it, and there wasn't very many people for me to ask. I had to ask one of my grandpas, and it's a really cool thing to know, and a lot of people don't really know too much about it. So using the apps, people are able to learn their own native languages easier and faster. There are people now on popular social media apps like TikTok and Facebook who post everyday videos of them speaking their language. I've seen people do skits and hidatsa of different movies and shows and stuff, and it's kind of cool to see, and using different dialect, like common dialect that is now used in the modern day. This gets people more involved and interested.
The article that I chose shows how the author explores the personal, familial, and academic stakes of Native American language loss for the youth. These authors were able to personally interview people of the youth community and get a more personal insight on how greatly the loss has affected the community. An enrolled member of the Navajo Nation gave a very personal response to the question. His quote was, "Many of these kids know how to speak Navajo, but many times they might be ashamed or have the kind of self-hate. You know it's been pumped into them. It's not something natural. It's being told Navajo is stupid. To speak Indian is the way of the devil." That kind of thing, like I said, it's a hereditary thing that's been pumped into you. And many times the older people will encourage English so that they, the youth, can make it in the white man's world. Many of these children are taken away at an early age to go to school. Like I said, for me, it confused me. Where was I in the world? This article was able to summarize how growing up in a specific environment can influence and misdirect a person to the point of what feels like a language dying out. But thankfully, more language apps have begun to get more popular to restore the language. For my reservation, they offer language classes. You can do it in person or in Zoom. Back home, many of the elders know how to speak it. My uncle is fluent in it. There's apps called Lakota and Yaxtoni, where as you progress more in the apps, the more difficult the levels become. You learn greetings, you learn colors, you learn animals. It's what makes it more like accessible is it being free, so you can download it whenever you want.
So on my reservation, there's 3 tribes, the Mandan, Hidatsas, and Arikaras, and we all have our own languages. We all, before we were all put together, we all were on different places of the land, so we all had to kind of learn how to live together again, my ancestors. So I speak Hidatsa, my grandparents speak Hidatsa, some of my grandparents speak Mandan, but I don't really know Mandan all too well. I use 2 different apps for my language, Hidatsa. There's a Hidatsa dictionary and then a Hidatsa vocab app, and the vocab app quizzes you on, like she said, colors, animals, food, stuff like that. Basic words that you would learn, like if you were a kid, growing up and learning any language. And the vocab app actually goes on to different levels of all different things, so that's kind of cool, and that's what they look like.
My app that I chose, it's called Native Time, and that's the one that has multiple dialects. It could tell you about moon phases or different historical events on that day that goes back from the past. But within my tribe, or the Lakota language that's the most common, I found a way where not only using the app, I could translate or use the different dialect and tone within my keyboard. So I'm able to type certain things that has like stress marks or abbreviations, little small things that are in the language. And as I said, introducing myself, Ina Waswaha, that means I am from Standing Rock. And being able to use the keyboard, it allows those abbreviations and for people to learn and be able to press out those specific ways of talking in that language. Otherwise, it could mean a whole different thing. But for dialect, it's a rural or socially distinct variety of a language that differs from the standard language, especially when considered as a substandard. So that basically describes it. Gives every definition.
This app I found, I just recently started using it. It's really it has 3 steps, easy and, hard. But you transition once you complete the first course, and then it takes you into the second. It's called the Woksape, and it's it teaches you just your colors or just anything in the first level. My kids enjoy it. My kids used to go to school in Cannibal. There's on a reservation, and they have a class, and it's mandatory that they take the Lakota class, and they love it. And they love when my grandma speaks Lakota to them, and I like listening to it too. So just that, it's enjoyable. So I'm only on the first level, obviously, and I don't know if you guys want to update if I complete it or not, or master it, I don't know. But yeah, it's really enjoyable. It's for anybody, you just sign up through your email.
One of the ways I actually found my apps was I just looked up my language on the App Store, and then a bunch of different apps kind of popped up, and I just figured which ones I like the best for me. And most of them are free a lot of the time, so that was very helpful. My definition for technology is the branch of knowledge that deals with the creation and use of technical means and their interrelation with life, society, and the environment, drawing upon such subjects as industrial arts, engineering, applied sciences, and pure science.
definition that I used for my article were suppression, the action to withhold from disclosure or publication, and then also revitalization, the action of endowing something with new life and vitality.
And then indigenous is just the originating in and characteristic of particular region or country occurring. Yeah, that's how Tech Apps can help preserve Native American language. Using technology apps can help people get back into learning in an easier and quicker fashion.
Thank you.